We're good. Okay, great. We're calling this meeting to order. This is the Transportation and Circulation Commission meeting for the city of Lafayette for November 3rd, 2025. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call roll for the commission, beginning with Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Hedane.
Here.
Commissioner Ratner.
Here.
Commissioner Gregor.
Present.
Commissioner DePrisco.
Here.
Vice Chair Sahar.
Present.
And I'm Bart Carr. I'm the commission chair, and I'm here, and we are supported by Patrick Gollier, who is the commission's transportation and circulation program manager. Before we get into the meeting, there's a couple of items I have to read, so I'll do that right now. Members of the public, first of all, regarding access via video, via teleconference, members of the public can participate virtually in this meeting via video feed. However, the city cannot guarantee that the public's access will be uninterrupted and technical difficulties may occur at times. Every effort will be made to restore video audio access. However, unless required by the Brown Act, the Transportation and Circulation Commission meeting will continue despite technical difficulties. In the event of a video interruption, members of the public are invited to join us at this meeting in person. And then the other item is regarding public comment. Public comment must be within the subject matter jurisdiction of this commission and can either be given for items on the agenda at the time that item is heard or during the public comment agenda item for items not on the agenda. In-person commenters are asked to submit speaker slips, and I see that we have a number here already submitted. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. If a commenter reaches and exceeds 3 minutes, I will politely ask the commenter to conclude his or her comments. And so with that, we're going to go on. Item 3 of the agenda does not apply tonight. Do I hear a motion to adopt our agenda tonight?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the agenda is adopted. We are going to go into the public comment item, and this is for public comments, not for any item agendized for discussion or consideration tonight. So I see we have a few speaker slips. And again, this is for item 5. This is the general public comment period. So the first speaker slip I have, the first speaker is Jennifer Paul. Ms. Paul, please.
Hi, good evening. It's been a while. Thank you all for your continued work on traffic around the schools. I am particularly grateful to read that the city has a plan to install a new sidewalk that incorporates some traffic calming measures on Font Road in 2027. This will address the unsafe blind curve and go a long way in closing the gap that exists for pedestrian and bicyclists in the area. But I'm here tonight to remind you of what I feel is a very important remaining safety issue that persists in this neighborhood. We still need an additional flashing beacon sign on the northbound approach to Spring Hill on Pleasant Hill Road. As I've told this commission before, currently the 2 northbound beacons are concentrated near Acalanes. The northbound approach to the highly used Pleasant Hill Road Spring Hill crosswalk does not adequately alert drivers to Spring Hill Elementary and that the crosswalk gets used for Briones also. So it's not just school students. There's a blind curve on the northbound approach, especially in the right lane. And just this Friday night, you may have heard a car T-boned an SUV and it flipped on its side. While unrelated, the night before that, a car caught on fire in the exact same spot. So it is a very dangerous intersection. Cars go extremely fast. And anything we can do to alert people to that particular crosswalk, the fact that there are schools, I really appreciate it. Always happy to answer any questions, hang out with you on that, that area anytime. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I have one. And it was raised by an engineer, traffic engineer. for the state of California. He was driving down the road, Pleasant Hill Road, and he came across the barricade that was, what do you call I'll have to ask what you call. I was in the hospital for a while and then a lot of my memory is gone. The barricade at the corner,
Spring Hill Road?
yeah, of Spring Hill Road,
It's like a K rail.
huh?
It's like a K rail. We
Yeah,
have at the triangle,
yeah, at the,
the Wedge Island.
yeah. And he was very concerned because he said it is not positioned in such a way that it's not dangerous. He said somebody could get terribly hurt by driving into it. And he thought that it would be worthwhile to do something else for a solution, but not that one. Okay, that's all I want to say. Do you have an opinion on that?
On that side, I have shared a few opinions about it before, but I was just more looking at, that's southbound more, but I was looking at the northbound beacon, just to alert people going northbound, because there's a blind curve there. But you are correct, going southbound, it can be an issue too.
To ask a question
Yeah.
related to what you mean by beacon, so this would be a light that flashes when the
just
light
like-
turns.
Exactly, just like we do have two going northbound, but they're at Akalani's.
Right.
So they're right before the intersection of Deer Hill and Stanley and right after, but there's nothing, so they're concentrated at Akalani's. There is one, there's two going south, but there's nothing to alert you for the northbound. So kind of you can come and then pick up speed and not realize that there is crosswalk right there.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
Understood.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a question for staff. Have the neighbors made us, the city, aware of this issue before?
Yeah.
Just as the,
I don't think it's brought up.
well, I'm asking staff now,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, and what is the intersection again, where the
It's
crosswalk?
Quant, Spring Hill and Pleasant Hill Road. But it would
Okay,
be
right
on
at the IC,
exactly, northbound Pleasant Hill Road, approaching Quant Road.
okay.
Oh, I just want to clarify, this is a speed radar sign?
Yeah,
not a
that's-
flashing yellow beacon.
The speed radar, just like
Oh,
we
okay,
have, sorry,
okay.
I might have called it the incorrect thing.
Yeah, got it.
There you go.
Okay.
That's why I ask, because sometimes there are also lights that will flash when the signal's red, kind of alert you that there's a red
Right,
light
that's
around
what I
the
was
corner,
thinking.
which is a different.
I'm-
But the speed ones are,
I would leave what you want to put there up to you, just something more than we have now.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Second, speaker tonight is, Jean Fulmer.
Hi, I'm Jean Fulmer and I live at 1477 Release Valley Road. And I'm here to speak about the need to train our crossing guards, our school crossing guards, to cue pedestrians at busy signaled intersections like the one at Pleasant Hill and Quant/Spring Hill Road. I last remember raising this concern with the schools in 2017 and 2018, and I do plan to share these same comments with the Lafayette School District Governing Board and the Lafayette City Council. Traffic is unsurprisingly congested during the morning rush hour and regularly backs up substantially on both Pleasant Hill and Release Valley roads. Traffic becomes further congested each time the crosswalk button is pressed, so activating the signals during green phases should be minimized. A quick search turned up the following points and suggestions that have been implemented elsewhere. When pedestrians wait to cross as a group, they all cross during the same signal phase. This minimizes lingering pedestrians in the roadway after the signal changes, which can delay turning vehicles or block intersections. Vehicle throughput improves when there are fewer interruptions to vehicle green phases, resulting in a smoother flow and less stop and go traffic. This decreases driver frustration. Queuing, group crossing, is particularly important for traffic flow on busy arterials like Pleasant Hill Road and near intersections with coordinated signal timing like Spring Hill Road. When a crossing guard is properly trained in queuing, they're able to activate the crossing signal at an optimal moment that balances both pedestrian safety and efficient traffic flow. I was disappointed that the signal crosswalk was reinstalled at the intersection of Pleasant Hill and Lee's Valley Roads when the walkway was redone a few summers ago, and I recall sharing that concern with some members of this commission. They may not still be on it. There is no crossing guard at that intersection, so there are single Occoloni students who activate that signal to cross Pleasant Hill Road instead of continuing one more block to cross with the guard at the Spring Hill intersection. I'm not sure how many of you live in my area, but I invite you to drive down the hill on Pleasant Hill Road toward Release Valley Road during peak morning commute hours to experience the backup. And I can't imagine what this is going to be like once the terrace's construction starts. Implementing clear queuing procedures will not solve the morning congestion issue, but it will have a positive impact. I've wondered if there are similar issues downtown or in Happy Valley, and I encourage you to explore those as well. Thanks, and thanks for your service, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Any questions for the speaker?
No, it's nice to see you.
Good to
Thank you.
see you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Betsy, starts with an H.
Sure. My handwriting, I got it in these days. Hi, I haven't met most of you. My name's Betsy Hoover. I live at 3626 Brook Street. Thank you for being here and doing this work. It's important, and happy to be part of it in a small way. I'll speak twice tonight. First, I've joined a group here called Vibrant Lafayette that you'll hear a little bit more about, but that's made up of parents of downtown families working to help make the downtown area of the downtown area of Lafayette more accessible and more vibrant. And so we're doing what we can to make that possible. And obviously the sidewalk we'll be discussing in a little bit is part of that, and we're really excited about it. But I also live on Brook Street and have been organizing with my neighbors a little bit. My house is between Mountain View and Dewing on Brook Street, and it is the one stretch of Brook that does not have a sidewalk. I'm the mother of 4 young kids and recently a puppy, and we walk to Lafayette Elementary and Old Firehouse School every morning, the 6 of us. And it's really dangerous. People use Brook Street as a 2-way kind of cut around from Mount Diablo, so the traffic is pretty heavy. You have blinding sun in the morning, and distracted drivers, as you always have going to and from school. And there's multiple blind spots just along that block. If you get to Dewing, there's sidewalks all the way down to Moraga Avenue. And so I want my kids to be able to walk to school, and I know a lot of my neighbors want the same, but that one block makes it really difficult. And a sidewalk would not just benefit Brook. There's many of our neighbors on surrounding streets that I know see the lack of sidewalk as a deterrent to walking, not only their families, but their pets. Senior citizens on our street just don't walk at all. They drive everywhere. And not only does that kind of take away the type of transportation we want to get downtown into schools, but it also kind of aggravates the traffic problem because it ends up putting all of those cars on the road. I know Brook is tricky at that stretch. It's narrow. I think you've probably heard this before, but there are a ton of new families moving into that community, and it's really important to us. So we are in the process. We've met as a neighborhood a couple of times. We're in the process of putting together a petition. We know this is a long process, but I wanted to put it on your radar and let you know that we're organizing and we care a lot about this. And I think it fits into more broadly what Lafayette can be, which is a really walkable, bikeable, accessible community, which is what I think we all want. So thanks for your time. I don't think this will be the last time I'm here, and it's great to see you all.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Alan Shapiro.
That's good. So I'm just gonna reiterate what Betsy said. My name's Adam Shapiro. I'm at 892 Mountain View Drive, so I'm not on Brook, but we use Brook Street all the time. So I just came and I support, sorry, let me speak louder. I just came in support of Betsy and for everybody on the street as well. So I have 2 kids, 9 and 6, and they use Brook all the time. And there's just absolutely nowhere for them to walk on the street. Like there's an uneven shoulder. There's actually cars that actually go fast on that road, even with the speed bumps that are on the road. When we first moved here in 2019, I sent an email over to the city and they explained to me that it was a hard street to build a sidewalk on. And then after that email, I just kind of said, okay, I guess it's too difficult to build a sidewalk. But after I lived there for 6 years, I am seeing now that it is an issue and there are more kids moving into the street. And after talking with them, they're seeing it as an issue. So it's just gotten to the point now where I think it's important to raise it in the city. So I hope you guys consider it. And yeah, hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you.
So there is a sidewalk
Could be louder.
on Brook on either side of this block that they're describing to us. Is that
No,
correct?
the sidewalk, I don't know if that was addressed to me, the sidewalk starts at Dewey. So
Okay.
this is above Dewey, between Dewey and Mountain View, there's no sidewalk on either side.
Oh, I see.
Once
Okay.
you get to Dewey, there's sidewalks on either side, so it's just this one stretch that doesn't have it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question of
Yeah,
staff?
go ahead. Go ahead.
In general, what have been some of the avenues for the city establishing sidewalks alongside a paving project or opportunities in the past? Do you know? The various.
You wanna talk about path paving projects?
Yeah, generally, the sidewalk, we'd want to build ones that were part of our master plan that is woefully out of date. A lot of times we do get grant money to build sidewalks. I don't know if we built any that weren't on the master plan. We've expanded sidewalks that were already existing. For example, the one that one of the earlier speakers talked about from Belize Valley Road to Spring Hill. We expanded that. We've also expanded Belize Valley Road from Pleasant Hill Road all the way to Silverdale, I think is the street. So as part of paving projects or as part of grant money. So that's kind of how they've come about. But there are lots of sidewalks on the master plan that people really, really want that we haven't found the funding for.
And this segment is not on the master plan
It is not.
in its current iteration. It might be updated and that might change, obviously, but
Correct.
yeah.
That's why we need a new one.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. That is the last, all the other speaker slips I have are for the next item. So are any other just general comments? Cause I saw some people walk in and then also online, yes. So we can do the online comments if they exist.
Hey, good evening, Lafayette Transportation Circulation Commission. This is Eric Law. It's been a while since I've been in front of you guys, but I wanted to come with a couple of questions for you guys tonight. You know, a couple years ago, the city passed a Vision Zero plan with goals of 0 fatalities and injuries in the city of Lafayette. And I haven't heard any updates or seen any presentations on progress on that. And unfortunately, this year, we had 2 students that were hit by cars. One on Mount Diablo Boulevard this summer, and one over on Pleasant Hill Road at the Highway 24 off-ramp. Occolanni's high school student was hit by a car standing on the sidewalk. And so I wanted to follow up and find out why the city is not providing updates on the Vision Zero goals and why they're not talking about 2 students being hit by cars.
Well, Vision Zero, our Vision Zero policy is in continuous use. We refer to it on a regular basis. I know I do, and I assume staff does, and the work that we do. I wasn't aware of these recent accidents. I don't know if staff can comment on those.
I wasn't either.
We did have Officer Conley come in August and he did talk about collision patterns over the past, over the past few years, if you remember.
Right. But the speaker was alluding to some very recent accidents that I wasn't aware of, so I don't know if you have any information on those or not, but anyways, as far as I understand and know, and from my own practice, we are using our current Vision, following our current Vision Zero policy, so.
I'm aware of it on Pleasant Hill Road. I think we asked the police department for more information and they said it was CHP that would provide that. And CHP, to my knowledge, has not provided us with any information about the accident. We don't know any particulars.
Okay, all right.
The one this summer was in front of the library on Moraga Road, and that was a hit and run that Lafayette police were involved with. So how that didn't make it to you guys, I think we need to do a little digging into why the city staff and police aren't working together.
Okay, we were aware of that, yes. We have one of our commissioners who wants to make, Commissioner Hayden, do you have a comment?
No, all I was going to say was that things are not going to rise to any sort of a fervor whereby you might want to take action if you don't ask. You've got to go. People have to learn to communicate to the city council. If you like something, say so. If you don't like something, say so, by all means, please. That's
So I think he's taking his first step by bringing up his concerns with us
Yes.
first, which is certainly fine. Is that Eric? Any other comments, questions?
No, that's it. I mean, I guess, what do you guys do with that? I mean, are you guys going to share the data? Are we going to get updates on our progress against Vision Zero? Would be my other question, Bart.
We don't normally, issue a report on, let me take that back. We do on an annual basis. I make a report to the city council on the various projects that we've accomplished during the year. And we will continue doing that. So that would probably be the time that that information would be shared. And you should either come to a city council meeting or listen in online, because that's when that information would be shared. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
One thing I might add, that could be an interesting periodic topic, an annual topic, or determine what frequency would make sense to come to us and say, this is kind of what has happened since we last spoke in terms of collisions and the circumstances that we're aware of, any actions that were taken. Yeah.
Well, in the last meeting, that was what we talked with Officer Conley about, was sharing I think it was every 6 months, we were trying to get their statistics on whatever the statistics that the police department compiles. But yeah, I can see the frustration that we don't get it more frequently, but I think we were just trying to balance the cost of a project on the city staff with the important information. And obviously also we're limited in what to do with that information, as Patrick has been patient enough to explain to me that.
Well, thank you for reminding me of that, or reminding us of that. And that is something that we're going to pursue. A periodic, quarterly, once every 6 months, getting that information back, because that will benefit us as we go forward, and obviously provide that information to anyone that's interested in the public. So with that, is there another public comment online? No. Is that it? Okay. Then we will close this public comment item 5, and move on to old business, item 6, which is the Connecting Lafayette Downtown Pathways and Schools Safety Project. And this is a 65% design and landscape plan. We're being asked to receive this report on the status of the project, and no commission action is requested. So we have staff here, Matt Littrup. I assume you're here to give a presentation on that, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Yeah, Matt Luttrup, I'm the engineering services manager, and I just wanted to let you know where we are with this project, because we've been working on it for 3 years. So it's been a very long road. So this project, we received some grant funding for it. So $370,000, and I'm going out of order.
Okay.
I know that.
Okay.
I just think the budget's more fun to do
Okay.
first, I think. So, we're doing $370,000 of Measure J funding. We got a federal grant for $750,000. It's OBAG 3. And then we got $3.1 million in a federal earmark. for it and another $400,000 in LFFA development fees. So we have a total of $4.6 million for this project. And currently we're estimating the costs at about $4.3 million. So we have all the money we need to build this, and now let's get into what we're doing. Now we're going back to the light order. I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I just want to keep it interesting. So this project has had many public meetings over the past 3 years. And those were to get community buy-in on the pathway designs for School Street and Topper. School Street, and I'm gonna hop around a bunch here too. School Street, the design is a 10-foot wide sidewalk with a 2-foot wide landscape strip. That landscape strip will be a bioretention basin, so we'll get some credit for that, which is really nice. Topper Lane, it's going to vary between 4 feet in width and 6 feet in width. The sections that are 4 feet in width are that wide to allow for the preservation of large trees whenever possible. We aren't able to save all the trees. We did talk to an arborist who reviewed all the trees. That individual actually recommended that we remove all of the trees and start over, because most of the trees there are growing into the power lines, are of questionable health, questionable structure.
Oh, this is
But
really
we did talk to the residents of Topper Lane. We had a little subcommittee that helped us out with the landscaping that we came up with. And they voiced a concern for that and said, please don't do that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to keep all the trees that can reasonably be kept. So that was kind of a collaborative approach with the community. That same group of residents helped us, along with our landscape architect, develop a planting palette for Topper that incorporates the existing trees with some new trees that they thought would be appropriate, along with ground cover that they thought would be the best choices for ground cover. So that was a nice community involvement. I think we had 4 landscape meetings to discuss that. On School Street, that was much easier. The residents told us generically what they wanted. We did it. They looked at the plans, thought they were great. So that was a pretty easy lift on that. So flipping through some of this. So right now we are at about 75% plans. And we plan on being at 100% plans by the end of January. And we want to let this out for bid in February, with opening of the bids in March and starting of construction in April. We will also be requiring PG&E to move some of their power poles so that they're not in the middle of the sidewalks. That should also begin in April. And for those of you keeping track of when we're starting this, yes, we know we're starting while school is still in session. And that's because this project is going to take longer than just the summer to build. So the idea is, if you start it while school's still in session, we can do some of the things that aren't as disruptive to the community early in the project. For example, working on Topper Lane, where there currently is no pedestrian facility to speak of. We can start working there without creating problems for the community at large, versus if we started on School Street, it would be quite impactful. So the work on School Street could then start later, once the kids are no longer at the school. So that's a bit of kind of into the weeds on how we're trying to schedule this. We have worked very closely with both the elementary school and the middle school to make sure that they're on board with what we're doing. The Lafayette School District actually granted us an easement for widening the sidewalk as it gets near the intersection of Moraga Road, so that we can maintain a 10-foot wide sidewalk all the way to Moraga Road. So we really appreciate their help with that. The working hours for the project, when the school is in session, it'll be 9 to 2:30. When school's not in session, it'll be 8 to 4:30. That's kind of normally what we do in Lafayette. We will do a Friday update like we normally do for all of our big capital projects. We're also gonna try this year to create an email blast so that if you don't want to actually go to our website and check for the Friday update, you can go to it one time, set yourself up for an email blast, kind of like people do for the Friday message and the weekly roundup. Do the same thing and you can just get it emailed to you automatically. So hopefully that'll help people stay away from the congestion from the construction. Or at the very least, they'll know they're going to get stuck in it if they choose to drive through it. We could go back to this slide, that would be great.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What is the overlap between the start of construction in April and the end of school? I'm trying to remember, school lets out in May, is that?
May or June, I think it's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's late May.
Call it a month.
A month or so?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we should be able to stay away from being in the kids' way in that time, but we're also doing those reduced work hours. So 9 to 2 means that the only really, or 2:30, the only really sticky bit is on Wednesdays when the elementary school has late start and early release.
Mhm.
So we really want to stay away from the elementary school when they're still in session, because that's gonna be the most impactful bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go point over here because it's just easier. So this is kind of Patrick made this is a nice overview of what we're doing out there. So you'll see we're doing the sidewalk on School Street and then the sidewalk on Topper, and it wraps around the corner to Bird Haven. There is also a future project to put in a sidewalk on St. Mary's Road from Topper to Acampo. Those of you familiar with the area, this is kind of where the dirt parking shoulder is. And this project, in addition to formalizing a sidewalk there, will pave that side of the road to make parallel parking, kind of like what you have for the rest of the street. So to formalize that as a good drop-off area. If we could go to a slide of School Street that gives us a plan view, that might be good. I'm really torturing you guys tonight, I'm so sorry. So this gives you a kind of a plan view of what this will look like. The existing sidewalk is back here. The new sidewalk will be from the back of the existing sidewalk constructed out into the street. So where we have all those little delineators all over the place on School Street, those will go away and it'll get filled in with sidewalk and a landscape strip. So that's kind of how that picture will work. We're still working on the nitty-gritty design for the driveways because they're lower than the street. So there's going to be some drainage issues associated with that. But we have some good ideas as to how we'll fix that. As part of this, we'll also be repaving one lane on School Street. So that will clean it up a little bit. We will also be repaving all of Topper Lane. And we will be putting back the speed bumps that are out there now. Those get removed, put back in. All the sidewalk or all the pedestrian crossings that we have on School Street will remain. We're not removing any of them. Obviously, the ones on the side where we're building the sidewalk will move out into the street a little bit further. The whole sidewalk is moving out into the street a little bit further. One change that we have made since our last meeting, our public meeting that we had on this, was a suggestion that we make the handicap ramps at the crosswalk, at the crossings wider, make them the full width of the sidewalk, so 10 feet wide. And we are endeavoring to do that. That will require bollards to be placed at the end of the ramps, kind of like what we have on Pleasant Hill Road. So there'll be the removable bollard, so if our crews need to drive on it, they can. But hopefully that'll keep everybody else from driving on it, because one of the things that we've noticed with our wide sidewalks is the utility companies find it really convenient to run their vehicles on the sidewalk rather than setting up proper traffic control on the street. So we want to dissuade them from doing that, because then there's nowhere for the kids to walk. we could see Topper Lane one, which. So, yeah, that's a cross section of what School Street will look like. There we go. There's Topper Lane. So this is roughly what Topper Lane will look like. It's a skinnier sidewalk, repaving the street. We are putting a little bit of a wiggle in the road because there's a really big oak tree on the west side of the street, kind of on the south end. And we wanted to preserve that, so we're holding more or less where the existing edge of pavement is in that area to make sure that we don't impact that tree any more than it's already impacted. And shifting the whole road over. I think it's about a 2 or 3 foot shift. That does mean that there isn't any room on that side of the street to do any real landscaping. So we are putting in a 6 foot wide pathway there, but you will see in other areas down here, the pathway gets less. Actually, in this one, it shows it all 6 feet, but there are some other areas down here where it goes down to 4 feet to preserve some oak trees and other nice elements. So there's no landscaping strip between the sidewalk and the street on Topper. It's right up against the back curb. So that is Topper Lane, I think.
Julie here to talk about the landscaping.
Thank you. I almost forgot. Someone who knows more about plants than me. So if you would like to go over the planting plan, that would be lovely.
So on School Street, as was noted, we'll be planting within bioretention planters. So we are choosing species that will fit within the narrow width and will project up because those areas will be depressed below the adjacent walk, but will also stay within we'll verify within all of our view triangles at the corners that they're within the applicable heights and to provide some color and interest and that work in that type of unique soil situation where they'll get wet feet at some times and dry at other times. And then that's the typical alignment as was discussed with the wider multi-use path with the adjacent bio areas and curb cuts along there to allow the water to flow in. And then along Topper Lane, working again really closely with the neighbors that abut this zone to help select plant species that complement what's already out there. So we were looking for plants that are very adapted to the climate here, are low maintenance and are low water use. One of the trees climbs into the medium zone. All of the shrubs are low, and all of the other trees are low as well. There's a variety of seasonal interest in both the foliage colors as well as the bloom colors. And I think the next page has a few more. And so again, we were looking here, we have a little bit more depth and variable width. So some of the plants can get a little bit taller. But again, they're all generally, 4 to 5 feet at their highest. And then again, just a nice blend of interests, some pollinators in there. And a few of the species are natives, others, like I said, are adapted to the zone. And then this is another example of where we're looking at. So again, the sidewalk will be 6 feet where we can fit it, and then narrow to 4 when we're in a constrained condition. Again, this meets the accessible regulations along that path, and then providing some color and shade and screening along that zone and that walk.
So
We're gonna go into commission question and answer in just a moment, but are we done with the presentation or is that?
yes.
We are, because I see questions are up there, so maybe it's time for us for things to return back to the commission. So this is the time when the commission gets to talk amongst ourselves and ask questions of of staff. So Lynn, you had a question?
Yeah, just a very simple one. I'm wondering about the potential. And thinking about what these are going to look like when they're down on the ground. And part of this, the landscape. Some of these trees I've noticed in your manual. Are certainly attractive to bees. As I'm picking up interest with the type of things that are going into the ground, it occurs to me suddenly that if they're going to be very beautiful, and I saw that they were as I was looking, I'm concerned that are they going to be attracting bees, or definitely attracting bees to these locations? I think we have to be careful of not doing that, because it's not going to be do a whole lot of good to give a bunch of people a place to walk and have them so afraid for the bees that they're not going to walk there. So what do we do then? And I ask you to be careful with that sort of thing. I have no idea, because I'm not much of a gardener. I used to be, but I'm not anymore.
So I guess the question is the landscaping going to be attracting bees, and does that create the potential for a conflict or being an irritant to people being bothered?
Turn them away.
Or keep people away.
Yeah.
Can anybody comment on that?
Some of the plants will attract bees, and that was actually one of the goals of the community that helped the community of people that helped us select the plants. They wanted things that would attract butterflies, hummingbirds, and if you attract those, you're going to attract bees too. So they somewhat purposefully selected things that have flowers.
Yeah, but is there anything on the face of the earth that will not attract bees and will still be lovely and colorful and beautiful? Is there such an animal?
You would be very limited in such a choice, as most of our vegetation would, it needs some type of pollination to keep on living and spread. So even the coyote bush, which is generally seen as a non-flowering type bush, that's just a native of our coastal environment here, it's beloved by the bees when it does flower, and the flowers are not of significance. So sometimes we're not picking up on that in the same way. So it was not, again, I think our recommendation would be to encourage the pollinators, and that we don't feel that these plants are going to be a concern as to attracting an unhealthy population of bees or, other stinging insects to that degree. There's a good balance in there, and we are bringing in a lot of the other healthy pollinators that we do want to see brought into the region, the moths and the butterflies and the hummingbirds.
It's a nice goal.
Thank you.
Definitely a nice goal.
Any other?
I don't know if I think it's possible.
Any other questions? Greg?
Matt, it's been a while since I did the site visit to this, but as I recall, when you're going down Topper and hit St. Mary's, there's like an elevation change, it's below. So how's that, the turn from Topper onto St. Mary's as you head to Bird Haven? How does that work? Or
so you're talking about south end of Topper, where it ties into St. Mary's Road. If both of those curve radiuses, the one that if you're coming off of Topper going south, making a right-hand turn onto St. Mary's Road, that curve radius is going to stay the same as it is now. The one going the other way, so going eastbound on St. Mary's Road, that the design was to tighten that up because we had a redwood tree at that corner that we didn't want to do anything to. We have subsequently found from the arborist that that redwood tree is in decline because of the droughts that we had. So now that one can be removed. Our subcommittee group of landscape folks on Topper said, okay, yeah, you can remove that one. So we're revisiting the radius on that particular portion of the street. Because it was brought up in a public meeting, please make sure that, you know, a delivery van could make that turn without crossing the center line on Topper. So we're gonna double check to make sure that they can do that. And if we need to make that radius a little larger to make that more comfortable for the vans to make a turn, we will do so.
Yes. I have a question. I realize it's not part of the scope of this project, but because it's on this map, this future St. Mary's Road sidewalk extension piece. I know that we have this dream of something about a roundabout or some drop off point. I know we don't have the money for it. I just wanted to make sure that that dream will not be foreclosed by this extension. Like this extension would work with some future drop off point there.
This extension
Which is not.
is the future drop off.
Oh, okay,
point.
great.
And we will be pursuing the design of that because we do have the design funds for it. We just don't have the funds to build it.
So the $2+ million is just parallel parking? That's in a sidewalk? That was, I thought it was something like that with this drop off point.
All of the money that we've come up with is for everything except that drop off area. We have no construction money for that drop off area. The city council did put in some money for design.
Gotcha.
Of a feature there. We did look at, you know, would a traffic signal there work? Should we do something where we put more drop off area a little bit on the school's property? They were willing to consider that, but in the end, we found none of that really made a whole lot of sense. You wouldn't get very much bang for your buck, even if you went onto the school's property a little bit. So the thing that we found was, Patrick, feel free to correct me if I'm misremembering this, that based on the volumes of drop off and pick up people in that area, the best thing to do would be to make that area a more formalized drop off area. Because right now people tend to use it kind of as a free for all. Some people are dropping off parallel, some people are angle parking. It's kind of whatever they feel like doing. We found the angle parking is extremely dangerous because people are backing up onto St. Mary's Road. Can't really see the cars, can't really see the kids that are running around. So we wanted to create a situation where the kids had a clear place to go, which is the sidewalk. You don't want to make it so wide that they're getting out on the street side. You want them to get out on the sidewalk side. So we've looked at all of that sort of stuff. We haven't pursued the design a great deal. It's probably what, at 35% still. Once we get this all designed out, it's on its way. We'll go back to the design work on that drop off area, have public meetings on that and formalize that particular piece.
All right, thank you.
I remember doing a site visit and we talked about a drain. Is there any work being done? There was like a drain like near the middle and it was off leveled. I remember it being off leveled. So is there any work being done in regards to the placement of that drain, whether it'll be raised or do you remember that?
Yeah, right in the center of the street.
Right.
So what you're talking about is there is a ditch.
Yes.
That cuts through, well, it's probably right here.
Yes.
That takes water from Bird Haven
Yes.
and it takes water from a ditch that's on Topper Lane. So this ditch on Topper Lane gets filled in with, when we put the sidewalk in. And we're gonna put a storm drain system in there, so all the water that would be going into a ditch now goes into a storm drain pipe. It still goes into the ditch that goes between the properties and to their backyard where it hits school property. Not gonna do anything to that.
I see.
That stays as is. So yeah, that's how we drainage an area. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lynn.
I have a couple of questions. I was just curious, when we left off, when this commission left off with the question of the width of the pathways on Topper, I think it was left off at 6 feet wide, sort of a uniform 6 feet for the entire length. But the neighbors wanted to have, create or retain space for landscaping, trees, that kind of thing. So actually, when this went in front of the city council, the question was, could we make it more narrow? As narrow as 4 feet, and we can see now that we are gonna go in some areas as narrow as 4 feet. So I assume that went back to MTC and they were okay with that, or?
They said that they appreciated that in some instances, it couldn't be 6 feet. You'd have to narrow it, for example, to save oak trees or other signature trees. So they understood that narrowing in certain locations for very specific reasons, such as preserving an existing tree, was an acceptable thing to do. But they did want us to make it as wide as we possibly could.
Okay, so they're okay with that, and therefore we're getting the money that we need in order to put this, to do this
We
project.
have not hurt their feelings yet.
Okay, good, well, I'm glad to hear that. And then going to the School Street pathway. I can see at the, I can't remember the name of the side streets, but the side streets on the northern side, when the pathway meets up with those side streets, it transitions to a crosswalk. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. So that's what happens at those side streets. When the pathway is going to cross a driveway, what happens there? It just stays as is, or is there gonna be any changes to it crossing driveways?
It stays, this 10 feet goes across the driveway, still stays ADA compliant. The driveways will be constructed out of concrete, pathway will be constructed out of asphalt.
Mhm.
So you will have a visual change,
Okay,
which I think is beneficial, because then people are reminded this is a driveway. But that's about the only difference that you will see going across driveways. There might be some cross-section changes, so instead of it being 1.5%, it might drop to 0.5%. It may even kick towards the house 1.5%. So you may get some cross slope changes
okay,
that are needed to deal with drainage issues. But it's not gonna narrow, it's not gonna do,
the width.
the width will stay
The same,
the same width.
okay, all
And
right,
one thing I did not mention, that I should, is that on School Street, those landscape strips. We are making a portion of the landscape strip in front of each house, concrete, to allow for the trash cans.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Recycling to
Yeah.
be staged, not in the street and not on the sidewalk, so.
That was my next question. What
Yeah.
happens with the garbage and recycling? Okay, and then, for both School Street and, Topper, the, travel lanes for cars, are gonna be 10 feet in each direction, or is that correct? And is there any change to that?
Topper, it's 10 feet in each direction. On School Street, if my memory serves, and I'm sorry I didn't memorize this, I think it's 10.5. So pretty close to what it is now on School Street and pretty close to what it is now on Topper.
Okay, so there's not much, if any, reduction to that?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, good, thank you. Lynn?
Yeah, I'm just looking at a note that somebody suggested that I ask. No, the value over there, no parking and no center lines.
This is on Topper, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that we won't be putting in a center line stripe. We will be putting in a fog line stripe on the west side of the road, because there isn't anything to delineate that edge of the road, and especially since we're putting a little bit of a bend in the road.
Okay,
It'll be really important to have a fog line in there, letting people.
so what are you calling it?
Fog line,
Oh, a
a
fog.
white stripe on the shoulder of the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that. I like that. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the technical term.
Okay.
So that's the striping that will be out there. As far as parking is concerned, the parking where people can park off the road now, well, they can still park off the road. So it's not an appreciable change in the parking configuration.
So there'll be very little filling up the spaces in the road with parking. It's going to be sort of free and clear for people who are moving.
Basically, the width of the road stays the width of the road that it is now.
Yeah, but the
So
question is how it will be used.
that's up to the people who front the road. So if some people have made nice little parking areas in front of their house, they're nice and wide, they can still park there.
Oh,
Some people don't have nice little parking areas in front of their house.
that's true.
And depending on what the police choose to do in terms of enforcement, that might not be a parking space.
Okay,
If it isn't a parking space now, it won't be a parking space when I'm done.
okay,
If it is a parking space now, it'll still be a parking space. So I'm not doing anything different to
okay,
people's frontage,
okay. No big change.
correct?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
I've got one comment. Matt, thank you for the presentation. You described some changes since the 65% plans. I think they're dated in September. I'd be interested at the appropriate moment, I'm not sure if this goes to council or not, to see your 75% plans, things that may have changed it. The corners, the curb alignments, the curb ramps.
Yeah, the only things that have changed, and I haven't seen copies of the plans yet, the designer is still working on them, is making the ramps 10 feet wide.
Right.
And reworking the corner curves at Topper St. Mary's. Those are the only changes, and it will be going to city council on Monday.
Okay, so perhaps too soon to.
Right.
To share those, but maybe we could see them at some point. A persnickety comment on the trash can pads. I noticed in one of my many complaints with Republic Services that they like to lift the bin and then they go a little bit forward and then they drop the bin. So it might take them having a little bit more of a delicate touch. I forget what the widths are here for.
From basic curb to basic curb, you're about 3 feet.
Right. I think that's fine, but I guess more the other dimension, the 17 feet, like,
yeah.
consideration of the fact that they're not always putting it back down in the same place as where they picked it up.
Right, the goal is to allow the way they want the bins placed to be placed that way. People frequently place the bins right up against each other, which, just in case you're doing that, don't do that. They don't like that because they can't get their little grabby hooks on the cans. They want to see roughly 2 feet between your cans so that they can easily access them. But you're right, a lot of times when people don't do that, it's almost like they just throw the trash cans back. They don't even bother trying to set them down. So it might be a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, from my experience, they're always moving them forward, but they'll figure it out, I'm sure. And then my last question is, what's going on this week? I see it looks like some potholing work. Is that related
Yes.
to this project?
Yes, it is. So this week we are potholing for gas lines, mostly gas lines, but some electrical lines on Topper and some water facilities. We're finding that the gas main and some of the gas services are in conflict or potentially in conflict with our bioretention facilities on School Street. So as part of the process of telling PG&E to move their stuff out of our way, we had to pothole it and confirm the exact location so that they will move it.
Yeah. Glad you're getting ahead of it.
Thank you.
All I have.
Any other questions? If not, we will go to public comment. And I have a number of speaker slips, beginning with Hunter Parsons.
Sorry if I go before him, maybe Brian Parsons first. Yeah, I'll go.
Oh, okay.
Don't make me get it.
Oh, Brian.
Encourage life.
Okay.
Great. So first of all, thank you all so much. My name is Brian Parsons.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Okay, if it gets too loud for anyone, tell me to be quiet. So, my name is Brian Parsons. I live at 878 Santa Maria Way. I am representing a group called Vibrant Lafayette with Betsy who spoke. We're a group of families in the downtown Lafayette area, mostly with young children who really just want to be able to get downtown safely, make the downtown more vibrant. And so we're here to help push that. Anyways, I have 3 young children. Hunter is my oldest. He is 7 years old. I have 3 kids who attend Lafayette Elementary School. The youngest is Rosie, and she is in TK. So she will be using the School Street path for the next 10 years, getting to Stanley Middle School from our house. So this is very important to me. I have witnessed just observing some of the potential accidents on that street. And so I am all for this, I'm all in, and I know a lot of other parents in my area feel the same way. As far as Topper Lane, I did not have much of an opinion on it, but today I had to drive by it and 2 women were walking and taking up probably a quarter to a third of the road. And it looked like they did this on purpose for visibility, so they could stay safe, but they put themselves in danger to be safe, and that's just not right. So everything that Matt showed today, I fully support. Vibrant Lafayette supports, and yeah, we really want to make sure that Lafayette is a safe place and accessible for our kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for the speaker? Not, thank you. And now we have Hunter.
Hi, I'm Hunter. I go to Lafayette Elementary School, and to go to school, I normally bike on the trail on School Street. And I've been noticing sometimes that the white posts up there help a lot, but I'm also seeing that they're kind of like easy to knock down. And I'm also thinking of like the plants there, and like if there is bees, what if someone's allergic to them? What if they do something like that? I mean, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hunter. Appreciate it. We really can't. We don't have the expertise or can't comment on the bee issue. I know with one commissioner here, that is a concern, but bees do happen, but that's a valid concern that you bring up. So thank you for reminding of that. And regarding the flimsiness of the separators, was that your other comment? The vertical separators? Matt, can you just remind us what's going to take place at
Yeah,
those?
so those white plastic things, they will be going away. And you're right, we have found that when people hit them with their cars, which apparently many people do hit them with their cars, they get knocked over, and then we have to go and glue them back to the road. So as part of this new project, you'll have concrete curbs, so you don't have to worry about cars knocking those over. So it'll make it a lot nicer. But you're right, people do knock them over and they're ugly.
Any other questions for the speaker? Thank you very much, Hunter. I appreciate it. Following Hunter, and I can read the surname here, Betsy Hoover.
Sorry, first one was the rough one. I will be quick here. I just, my message is very similar to Brian's. We're just very much in support at Vibrant Lafayette of safe, accessible paths to downtown, and particularly the School Street path coming off of the trail just feels like a really good step in the right direction. So I know this has been a long process. that you've all put a lot of work into, and even though it does not directly connect to my house, it's I think really the right direction for Lafayette, and happy to support it, happy to talk about it, and hope to see a lot more of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the speaker? No? Last speaker slip I have is for Chris, and you're gonna have to help me out with the last name.
Sure.
Starts with an F. Whoops.
Fessenmeyer.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you for the time. My name is Chris Fessenmeyer. I'm a resident of Birdhaven Court on the east side, so on the side that's a little further from Topper Lane. I have two school-age children and TK, a 4-year-old, as well as a first grader, 6-year-old who attends Lafayette Elementary and will attend Lafayette Elementary and Stanley Middle School for several years to come. We would just like to voice our support for both the School Street and Topper Lane sidewalks. We currently do not walk to school. Topper Lane's not very safe to walk on. We are either walking in some gravel in front of people's houses where there's a lot of construction trucks currently parked, about 5 or 6 every morning, so which is not really passable, or you're walking in a ditch, which thankfully my kids are out of strollers now, but anyone probably under the age of 12 or over the age of 50 would have trouble walking in the ditch, as well as anyone who has limited mobility for other reasons. So we just want to voice our support, and we appreciate all the effort that staff has put into looking for a lot of alternatives. You know, people were suggesting moving through the getting opportunity to go through Stanley Middle School, which unfortunately wasn't an option. Looked at a couple different options for going to Topper, and as well as any other opportunities for Birdhaven to get there to the trail or to the schools. And we appreciate the flexibility they've shown in saving as many trees as possible while still providing a safe path for both adults and children. I also point out that residents of the Acampo Drive neighborhood on the south side of St. Mary's also don't really have a great way to access it, or not a very direct way to access the trail. They would have to go out to Moraga Road over to School Street and then all the way down School Street to get to the trail. Once there is the path on Topper, as well as the hopefully in a short amount of time, the drop-off section on St. Mary's Road, people in the neighborhood would be able to access the trail as well for biking, walking their dogs, and etc. So again, thank you for your time, and just wanted to voice our support for the project.
Anybody have any questions for the speaker? I have one question. Maybe you can answer this, or maybe somebody else can, but can you just describe what you think the traffic, the use will be on Topper Lane primarily by school children, I assume. What I'm visualizing is in the morning, you're gonna have kids coming from Birdhaven or other kids or parents from Birdhaven or other neighborhoods, you know, going down towards Lafayette School or Stanley School or what have you, and then in the afternoon, sort of traveling in a reverse direction. Is that sort of what may happen, or do you have any other thoughts on?
I mean, I can just conjecture, you know.
Well, I understand it's conjecture, but I'm just curious.
Yeah. I mean, without the facility there, there's not many people, like myself, I don't walk there, so it's a little bit challenging to say, well, there's not a lot of walkers there today, so, you know, who are we building this for? But I can say that there are 15 to 20 school children on Birdhaven Court who attend Lafayette Elementary or Stanley Middle School. It's quite a number. Some of them can access the trail or Topper through backyards of people's houses, but I myself can't do that, as can about 8 or 10 other students. So I think, yeah, there will be 15 or so, 20 kids with their parents or without their parents in the mornings and afternoons, both in the school year and in the summer, given, you know, things like summer camps. There's also trail access. I love to bike with my son to go to Lafayette Community Center through the trail on weekends. And so, you know, this would provide a safer way for us to do that, to access the trail, and also to get downtown, to go to the library, which we like to do every week or so, as well as to other things like the theater or restaurants and things like that. So it's, again, just my guess, but we'd love to be able to use this to be able to access both downtown and everything the trail can reach, which is quite a bit.
So some of those houses on the court can get to the trail, but just through irregular means.
So there are some backyard gates that go onto Tupper, and the new path will be just on the other side of their backyards.
Right.
There are 2 or 3 houses at the bottom of the cul-de-sac that can go onto the trail. I think just 2 houses there that can access the trail. But it's just 2 out of the 20 or so houses on the court.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have any online comments? Questions?
Eric?
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Eric Law again. I just wanted to say it's wonderful to see this project moving forward to construction. It's been a long road. And unfortunately, the impetus for this project was Ashley Diaz was killed on School Street on Wednesday, September 19th, 2021, volunteering as a crossing guard. That is what got this project moving forward after about a decade of studying safety issues on School Street by the city of Lafayette. And so I do have an ask for the Trans-Circ and City Council, or well, Trans-Circ tonight, is can we focus on pedestrian and cyclist safety here for our students and our kids and seniors that can't drive before somebody is killed? Unfortunately, we still continue to have people hit by cars here in Lafayette. We do have an issue with that. We lack infrastructure. And it'd be great to see a bigger, more proactive response, because despite drivers thinking that more cars on the road is going to decrease traffic, the only people that are actually reducing traffic are those that are walking and biking. They actually have a physical reduction in traffic when they do that instead of driving cars. And so I think it'd be really good for us to continue to push forward with more projects and do more projects like this that provide that needed infrastructure to keep them safe from the drivers here in Lafayette. So as we go forward and look at other projects, that's my ask for everyone tonight. And we'll continue as advocates and those that are on Vibrant Lafayette. It's great to learn about your group, and hopefully we can continue to push for more infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric? Thank you, Eric. Anyone else?
Or no more
Is that
hands
it?
raised?
Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and close. If there's no one else here that wants to make public comment, I'm gonna close the public comment for this item and bring it back to us. Again, there is no action that is being requested by this commission, so we'll, I guess, thank you for the update for the report. It was very informational, and close this item. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 7, which is new business, there is none. We'll move on to item 8, which is commissioner and staff updates. We'll begin with commissioner updates or reports. Do I have any commissioners that want to share anything? No? Anything? All right, none from the commissioners, staff?
I don't have any staff reports tonight.
Okay, all right, well, that's good. Then I'll close that item, and that brings us to item number 9, which is adjournment. So I'm going to, unless there is something else, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. It is 8:12, and this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for the public for attending and for your public comment. Appreciate it. And we'll end the meeting.